Welcome to today's lesson on experimental research. And let's get started. The first slide here, the key word underlined is cause and effect relationships. And so experimental research is the only type of research where the researcher can really claim cause and effect relationship. So let's start with an example right away. Let's say that we were interested in conducting an experiment around a hypothesis that college students enrolled in online courses performed as well as college students enrolled in face-to-face courses. Let's compare the academic achievement of online versus face-to-face instruction. Let's kind of start there. That's something that we're all familiar with. And let's go to the next bullet here on this first slide. Independent variables is underlined, controls, and dependent variables. All right, so the example that I gave was essentially the effect of online versus face-to-face instruction on student achievement, college student achievement perhaps. So let's think about our independent variable for a moment there. And I'm going to ask yourself, independent variable, in that statement, what's the independent, or another way to say it, manipulated variable? Think for a minute. Okay, hopefully you thought of the type of instruction that the students are participating in, online versus face-to-face. And let's continue. Okay. Dependent variable in that case, I think you probably all have it, would be how well they do, some sort of an achievement score. Okay. I also underlined the keyword control there, and I know that you've heard this word throughout your entire academic life, probably since 5th grade. And for the time being, let's think of controls as practices that we put in place to ensure that the professors teaching online and the professors teaching face-to-face are essentially very, very similar in all that they do, and the only difference between these two groups is the type of instruction, online versus face-to-face. And I can see you thinking, no doubt you're thinking, good luck with that. How are we going to generate two groups, one group teaching online, the second group teaching face-to-face, and have the only difference between them be the type of instruction? No doubt very challenging. Okay, and in this case we're going to manipulate the treatment. So the researcher is going to decide which group teaches online and which group teaches face-to-face. We have control over this. All right, down to the next slide here. Kind of similar to the last slide, I see independent variable, treatment, causal or experimental variable. These are all the same words for the independent, or I think the word manipulated variable ought to be in there as well. And the dependent variable is the outcome, the effect. In this case, I believe the outcome would be, let's think for a minute, I guess student achievement. We'll hope to compare the student achievement in either of these learning environments, online or face-to-face. Okay, this is a very abbreviated slide here of the process. And so we've already, I think, selected and defined our problem, or our question is, how does student achievement in online versus face-to-face instruction compare? Are there significant differences in student achievement when they learn in online or face-to-face classes? And do I have another slide? I do. Okay. It sounds like this could be set up as a pre-test, post-test, control group design. This might be I've underlined here, comparison of approach A versus B. And let's pause here and think for a minute and try to apply what we're talking about to comparison of approaches A versus B. A would be the professors teaching online. B would be the professors teaching face-to-face, and we want to compare the student achievement in both of those groups. Last slide for this opening lesson here on experimental research. So we have an experimental group and a control group, and our job would be to generate these two groups randomly. I guess this is actually the last slide. Our job would be to define this population. In this case, it's only out to professors. Maybe there's 200 of them. Let's say that we were able to get 10, to randomly select 10 to teach online and 10 to teach face-to-face. And there you go, then we do it. We ask them to go ahead and do their thing. And after they've taught their course online, we would get student achievement data. So this is a super simple, overly simple introduction to some components of experimental research. This could be generated to be a pre-test, post-test control group design. So the pre-test then would need to get some data on student achievement prior to learning in either environment, some achievement data. And then we would have some students learn online, some students learn face-to-face, and then get some post-instruction data and compare that. And maybe we could test our null hypothesis that there would be no significant difference in student achievement when they learn in face-to-face versus online instruction. All right, so I've thrown, 25 or 30 vocabulary words at you right there, and I'm going to pause for a while and catch up. Okay, thank you.